Hello, I'm 𝗬𝗶𝘁𝘆, Chairperson of the Board of Directors for City Blossoms. I'm excited to propagate some houseplants with you today to celebrate City Blossoms Spirit Week. While we are sad not to be with you in person, we are here with you in spirit and we are pleased to have you join us. So today we will be propagating some spider plant babies. I have the mama plant here. Here she is in this lovely pot, and the little babies. You know, you can see why they're called spider plants, because it looks like a spider with a bunch of little babies coming down on its long tendrils. So we are going to simply clip off the ends of these little babies, like so. Just cut them, put them in water, and wait a couple of days or up to a week. These little air roots, I'll show you a close-up here. Once you put them in water, after a few days, will break through these hardened skins, and then they'll be fairly white. And at that point, you'll be able to stick them into some soil medium and water them and watch them grow into a large plant. Do this one also. And like I said, wait a few days and watch the magic begin. Yep. So that is the easiest one of the day. And so we also have some 𝗕𝗹𝘶𝘆. This is a succulent related to cactus. Here is the mother plant up here. And these were essentially pups, what we call pups. And if you look in here, you can see the pups forming these small little plantlets here. And you simply just pull them out or twist them out. That's your pup. That's what these three look like when I put them into this pot. And today we are actually going to be taking these out of their pot because they've crowded a little bit, and we'll put them into their own. So we have some succulent potting soil. You can use regular potting soil, and if you have some small gravel, you can just mix it in. And just provide some drainage with some gravel. And if not, don't worry about it. Just use regular potting soil, and that's perfectly fine. You just water maybe once every 2 weeks, but once you do the transplanting, you can water the soil fairly straight on. So just pull this out of its container, flip it over, collect the rocks from the top. The rocks help provide a mulch for the planting material. Dump all that out. Separate the little plantlets. Stick your finger in, make a hole. Position that in. And then there you are. Then if you have your gravel available, you can just put it back on top to provide that mulch, and also to help anchor the plant roots into the soil until they reattach themselves into the growing media. And, you know, give it a drink of water. You're off to the races. So you just do that for the rest of them. Have fun while you're doing them. Talk to them because they do like the sound of voices. So now that they're in their own containers, they have space of their own to grow on and become large, beautiful plants such as these. Just want to firm in the soil as best you can. You can use the tip of a pencil, the eraser edge, or a chopstick if you have one. But I forgot to gather that with my tools before I started filming, so you know, you just sort of work with what you have and make the most of it. And just have fun along the way. There you go. And so with the pup that we pulled out earlier, we will just add some more soil into a small container. And stick that in, and we'll give it all a bit of water. Probably in about a year's time, this small little pup here will be the size of these and on their way to creating its own little house plant for you. So, say hello to my dog, Mojo, the little garden helper. So just add this soil into one of these other containers. One thing I didn't tell you is I like to recycle. So these little containers that I'm using to plant all these small pots are actually K-cups from coffee makers. So you know, after we've made coffee, we just pull out the old coffee grounds, add that to the compost, and rinse it out, and you know, add soil and plants, and voila, you have a small tiny container for a lot of these small plants that we have, which you know is a little bit fitting because next up we have our African violet. So what we're going to be doing with the African violet is, you know, I have here I think it was a sandwich container that we cleaned out. You can also use a salad container, usually something that's clear and it has a lid that you can close, and you'll add soil to the bottom, and then your plants will be in there, and you're basically making a small terrarium. That way you don't have to worry about watering all the time, but you may have to open it up on occasion just to provide some airflow, because mold or other mildew might grow if you have it too closely tightened, and water can't respirate out of the container. So with that, you know, add some soil, and right now I'm using some just regular potting soil for the bottom, and it's already pre-moistened. That's one of the key things, because with this technique you don't want to try to water after the fact, because it probably won't go so well for you. Typically for African violets, you want to use African violet potting mix. I have some here, so I'm going to mix it in with the potting soil. I'm mixing because I don't have a whole lot of the African violet soil left, so I'm having a hard time finding it. So just going to mix that in. It's, as you can see, nicely moistened, ready to take on some leaf cuttings of the African violets. So with African violets, so these are miniature, I'll use miniature in quotations, trailing African violets. It doesn't look so miniature. That is a big plant, one single plant. It's pretty wide, it's fairly old. I don't think I can pull it out of the pot. Maybe I can. You can see. So it's in a fairly small pot, not so big, but there's the plant. So we're going to take some leaf cuttings from this miniature, and basically you can either just pinch it out with your fingers, watch them fall off as you try to put it back into its pot, or use your scissors and clip them out. But you know, here's one here, so we'll just set that aside. We can take our scissors, and usually you want to find the rosette, and the ones that are growing inside are usually the ones that are better suited for this technique. So you just clip it out, set it aside over here. You just clip out as many as you feel you want to start. Some of the older ones, sometimes will root fairly well, and you'll want to take them from a variety of areas off of your plant. So let's just start with those for now. Pull this over, and here we have some rooting hormone. As roots take root, it'll help the leaf cutting form rootlets as you put it in. So basically you want to always pour your rooting hormone into a separate container and not dip your plant into the container that your rooting hormone is in. Otherwise, if you do that, you contaminate it and then you end up with a whole lot of problems later on. But the rooting hormone, you want to get up as far to the bottom of the leaf as possible, up the small stem. So from here, you don't want to cake it on like you just saw. You know, if you do that, that's too much. You want it to look fairly pale. See the difference? This no, this yes. And with your, usually you have some sort of implement that is round, dowel-esque, like a pencil, and you just stick it in, just to the very bottom of the leaf, so that the stem is in the soil. Press it down a bit. I'll show you again, try to keep my fingers out of the way so that you can see. See the length of, stick it in. So you want the leaf to be exposed above the soil line, and you just want the stem end of the leaf to be buried into the soil. So this is a little bit long, so you'll want to cut probably about half of that off. You can dip it into your rooting hormone, blow off the excess. And we have about 3 of these to go. So like I said, you know, it's always a good idea to reduce, reuse, and recycle, especially if you have containers like this laying around the house from whatever salads that you might order for takeout, or things that are just, you know, recyclable. It's especially a good idea to keep plastic out of our recycling systems or trash systems, because it's sometimes hard for it to break down and it ends up in our waterways. But for gardening, it's a fantastic product because it really holds soil and water well, and just really helpful in propagating plants and garden vegetables. And so, like I said, the soil is pre-moistened, so it's already been watered. And essentially what I'm going to do is just close this up and end up waiting about a couple of weeks, and at that point we'll see some little tiny plantlets growing at the base of the leaf in the soil media. And then probably about a month and a half to 2 months time they'll be ready to pot on. So we'll just essentially open this up at that time and separate these small plantlets out and put them into their own small K-cups. And so for our plant pot propagation, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you and keep watching.